Well, why don't you talk us through what came from the hackathon, the aftermath?
So first of all, I'll do the gratuitous note. Again, it was a lot of fun. It was a bit of a it was a bit of a drive getting there, but it was just once I got to town, it took almost as long to find the place. But
Yeah.
once I did, you know, you would think somebody would know about a courthouse, but no, they forgot about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're
But
all
no,
law people, you know.
yeah. But once I got there, it definitely was worth it. A lot of fun. Got to work with some great folks. Learned a lot, especially around beacons, which is kind of where we started working with Shelley and Tyler. And we started looking at, to the point that was made a little bit earlier, the project we were working on included putting LRSs on 2 Raspberry Pis to communicate back and forth. The idea being that, well, let me back up. So the project we were actually working on was tracking patients from an emergency response, so possibly a shooting incident or auto accident, whatever, and tracking that person, forgive me, cradle to the grave, if you will, as far as their time within the EMS and the hospital system. And so we were looking at using beacon technology to tag the patient so we would know when did they enter the ambulance, when did that ambulance get into the bay, when did they leave the ambulance and enter the hospital, who were the nurses and doctors who were present, who were local to that patient when they came in, etc. And so to that end, we set up, the idea is you would set up an LRS in the ambulance on a device such as a Raspberry Pi that you would report everything to locally, and then that LMS would report back to the primary LMS at the hospital. So Tyler and I were racing, trying to get an LRS loaded onto a Raspberry Pi, which didn't work out very well over the weekend. So we had a homework, and David Helms from Radius was very gracious and very generous. Gave us each a couple of beacons to play with,
Right.
and gave us each a Raspberry Pi to play with their software, with their beacon scanning software. So we got, using a clean Raspbian image, we were able to get the LRS, the ADL LRS running. Was that Tuesday night? I think I got that working. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I finally got that working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Tyler decided to one-up me with his Pi 2.
Well, technically it's my Pi 2. Yeah, I just brought in my Pi 2. And
Oh.
I'm just giving away hardware left and right.
But so then, so Tyler got it working with the scanner software, which was fantastic. And Tyler, do you want to talk about the work that you did getting that going?
Sure. So with some tips from Anthony, who figured out that we were just being impatient, really, I was able to get an LRS installed on 2 different Raspberry Pis, which both have Bluetooth readers, and I was able to simulate pinning a patient and then walking down the hall to the other Raspberry Pi and having it scan as if I were going into intake at the hospital. So that's really all I've got for that so far.
But you do have it finding the beacon and reporting an LRS statement.
Oh yes, I should probably mention that. So when you turn on the beacon, if it's on for a certain number of seconds, then it will send a statement to the LRS. And if you disable the beacon, it'll pull for a while, and if it stops hearing from the beacon, it'll send a terminated statement to the LRS. If you do leave it on and you walk down the hall where the other Raspberry Pi is simulating intake at the hospital, it will send a statement to the LRS saying this patient with this ID has gotten to the hospital. So we do have that general workflow figured out now. Next up is to simulate, or actually figure out, the LRS to LRS communication so that we can have this offline, not connected to the internet behavior where the ambulance has an LRS that's on a Raspberry Pi, and have that sync up with the hospital LRS, so when the ambulance does get internet connectivity back, it can sync anything that it collected from the ambulance. So not just the beacon stuff. We were talking with Shelley at the hackathon about using an iPad to go down a procedures list. So if the EMT is working on the iPad to say, yes, I've checked the patient's vitals and this, that, and the other thing, that can all be recorded in the ambulance's LRS and then synced to the hospital's LRS when it regains internet connectivity.
Nice. I'm
so.
Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
I was just gonna say, so, and parallel to that, unfortunately, I've lost today because I need to earn a paycheck too. So, so while Tyler has done the great job of working with the beacons on the Linux side with the Pi, I've started working on the beacons on the Android side, using some code, some stuff again from Radius, and with Evo things as a really great framework. And I actually started down a road last night that I thought was going to be clever and quick and real easy, and then this morning decided, yeah, it was stupid. I'm just going to use the API wrapper because that did half the stuff for me that I wasted about 4 hours on last night. So.
Cool.
The joys of development.